coming out. We promise the tech is better than this. We had, don't ever trust NFT casters too much. They're supposed to come, and I spent all day trying to figure out how to become a video editor and kind of things. So we're good. We're here. We all appreciate you guys coming out and supporting Buddy. Lock it, buddy. And basically, I'm here with Phil. Phil started this. We met, I remember, years ago when I first came to LA. We both thought we were working at a hedge fund. Turned out we were pushing high-interest cash loans. And I think he lasted there a little longer than me.
No, I left before you.
Maybe I got fired. But no, we're here now. And basically, we're just chatting a little bit about his new project. And what is going on with this project, how it's different from other projects, explaining a little bit about NFTs for people that aren't familiar with them, and what ties it all together. First thing to go over is his project's a lot different. When he brought me on board, told me about it, where it really delves into your family and where you came from. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you came from selling high interest loans to where we are today.
Yeah, so what I want everyone to walk away from this is a couple things. Like, this project has layers to it, and so on the first layer, this is a project about bringing hip-hop culture, streetwear culture, and technology, and combining the two. So the inspiration for it, where it comes from, is just my experiences. What's influenced me is where I'm from, and that starts with my family. My parents immigrated here from Jamaica, and so with Jamaica, there's certain philosophies. Jamaica produced Bob Marley, Rastafarianism, rebellion, revolution, and then there's also a part of the culture. One of the credos in the culture is out of many, one, and so that influenced me a lot. And when my parents came here, they lived in Crenshaw and Wilshire in the late 70s. And then they moved to Orange County. So I was raised in Huntington Beach. So I was raised in a household that was steeped in traditional Jamaican culture, but I was around skater culture, punk culture, surf culture, because that's Surf City, And so that's that combination of Jamaican culture, just reggae, and being around skate, punk rock culture, that really influenced it. And so when you look at this project, it's layered, as I said in the beginning. There's the streetwear aspect of it, because that was heavily influential on me, just growing up skating, being into rap, being into reggae, and then going to school with kids that really didn't look like me, but where I could connect with them is I understood punk rock culture because it was about anti-establishment, and that's what hip hop was about, and that's what reggae was about. So there's that common thread. And if you look at the hat here, this is my spin on the anarchy, And so I would see kids, put that patch on their jackets, put that patch on their backpacks, and I, understand, okay, anarchy, chaos and disorder, but standing out, counterculture. And so this is my spin on that, and that's why, I put disrupt the future, because working, going into my adult life, working in tech, disruption is like a common theme. You want technologies that are disruptive, Uber, disruptive, those are the biggest things. So my focus is, to kind of tie this together, is building this brand that's about authenticity, being true to yourself, and about self-empowerment, and disrupting whatever it is in whatever space you're in and being different and standing out.
Ooh,
And then, you know, not that we have any quote-unquote dinosaurs in the building besides Peter Carr. Basically, like, what is the, for people that don't know what an NFT is or understand, you know, maybe they just saw it on CNN when people were talking about millions of dollars in an image on a TV or a screen. I guess give, you know, a basic definition of what an NFT is and how you're seeing it really transform the world in the future.
So, the way I understand an NFT, there's two things stand out to me. It's a digital certificate, right, of authenticity. That's another part of how the brand has to get authorized, authentic. So, I look at an NFT as like proof of purchase, a receipt, proof that you own this item, proof of its origin. But I think what the big craze is now around NFTs and why they're more than just a simple receipt. I think in the simplest terms it's a receipt, but it's also a patch, right? To show that I'm a member of this club, right? And so what I wanted to do with this project is an experiment to say that, look, I want to build this from the ground up, so I'm going to take a different approach to it. I'm going to take a more traditional approach of, you know, going back to like hip hop and punk rock culture where DIY, doing it yourself is big and kind of going against the grain. Is that, well, I want to give people a real world product and an NFT and combine the two to, you know, build that bridge. Because I think there is a big audience of people that have heard of NFTs and don't know what they are, but there's so much power and potential in it. And, you know, that's why I invited a lot of my artist friends, because I think as an artist, it's a way for you to connect to your fan base, to your audience, and build that authentic relationship. And for this project specifically, I'm inviting people in to say, hey, look, be a part of this and watch it grow. And, you know, building on, you know, my work in finance before working at a boiler, you know, is that it's a stock certificate in a way to say that, hey, look, I invested in this project early on. This is where it started. This is where it's going. So I think that that's a big part of just the community aspect of NFTs. But I think for artists moving forward, it's a way for them to, you know, collect their royalties. I think in music, we're already seeing a big disruption. If you go all the way back to Napster and how it just took down the price of music, the accessibility to music, MP3s, I think this is going to be a new way because you're already seeing the popularity of independent artists and not having to go the traditional route. And I think the way the technology has evolved with music specifically, you don't need a major record label to get noticed. You have the internet, you have Instagram. So now, NFTs I think are just going to further that movement and direct connection between artists and audience.
I know you touched on community. Community is obviously a big thing. I don't think any of you just, you know, walked through the door tonight because you were stumbling down Santa Monica and said this looks cool. You know, you're here because you either knew someone and this is all bringing each other together. I guess with that, I mean, how important is the community do you see being in your project moving forward?
I think it's everything. You know, I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for my experiences and the people in my community, right? And I think everyone can relate to that. So it's about just finding commonality and being able to relate. So I think I wanted to start small, start with just 1,000. If I can just get 1,000 believers, you know, then this can be something bigger, much bigger. So it's all about the community.
Yeah. And do you think NFTs are going to put us on more of a level playing field? I mean, if you think about, you know, people always say it doesn't matter, you know, what you're born into or what community you live in or where you grow up. when it truly those people that are saying that are in the 1%, do you think NFTs are a platform where anyone can get in? You know, you can get in with a couple $100 and hopefully grow with the community, learn technology, learn knowledge. I mean, how much of an impact can it really take on, you know, the whole world in a sense?
I think it can have a big impact. I think that where technology is, I think the best technologies have always brought people together. And I think this is one of those technologies that does that. And I think that, you know, for me, in my personal experience, somebody that was an outsider, if you just looked on color, I found inclusiveness through music, through hip hop, through skateboarding, through all these different things. And I think that NFTs are just another, you know, mode, another system that allow people to get together. And when you combine that with, you know, what's quote unquote Web3 or the metaverse, I think it's going to allow people to be whatever they want to be. You know, you're picking an avatar. So I think as the technology grows, all these social constructs that are barriers are really going to disappear. And that's one of the things you don't, unfortunately, the guy didn't show up so that we could show more, but, you know, if anyone's interested, you know, we can kind of show you some of the collection. But when I designed this character, I wanted it to appeal to everybody. So it's regardless of race, sex, some of the characters, you know, from the hue that I picked, the skin color of the main character, which is here, to there's other characters that are cheetah print, tiger print, to really say that color doesn't matter. You know, there's features that, you know, it may look feminine. You know, the whole point is that in the future, my belief is that these constructs aren't going to matter. And I think that's, to answer your question, that's what NFTs are going to do, is kind of bring people together. That's what I think the best technologies do. Yeah.
And for the people here who somehow decide to not spend their money with us and go another way, when you're new to investing in NFTs, I mean, what are those things someone should look out for so they're not just spending money into something that's just going to go away or it's a pump and dump type thing?
I think the main thing is you got to look for community, right? You got to, you know, having worked in finance, due diligence is huge. So one thing is looking at the community, one thing is looking at the founders, you know, what's their subject matter expertise? Do they know what they're doing? Are they experts in their space? And then looking at the value, you know, and what the product is it real? So that's why it's big to me that my project was more than just a JPEG, right? Because yeah, you know, people who are versed in NFTs, they understand that it's significant, but for people that don't really know, it's just like, oh, what? This is just a JPEG. I can just copy and paste, you know, like, what's the real value? So my whole point is I wanted to stand down and merge real world products with digital assets and then build. And there's something, you know, for one of this character, it's called Blockhead Buddy. You know, I actually we created a rap for him. You know, he's going to be a rapper. So it's like one of these characters can be whatever it is they want. So the main thing is you want to see that there's an actual product, there's an actual team, and it's a real asset. And it's not just a scheme to make money. Because this is not, yeah, well, of course, I want to make money, but this is about building a community, and it's an experiment, you know, to see how far this can really go.
Yeah, and before we get to Phil's first chance of rapping in public with a pretty big audience as a character, tell us a little bit about, you know, the hat, the slogans. What happens when you buy one of these that's different than me just opening a wallet and, you know, buying a new chicken that can run and make me money?
Right. So it's like, I wanted to, what was big for me as a kid growing up was trading cards, whether there was basketball cards, baseball cards, even like Marvel comics. I was into like Marvel comics, I was into Calvin and Hobbes. So you go to the store, you buy a card, you open a pack, you don't know what's there. Everybody wanted, when I was growing up, you know, Mickey Mantle rookie card or Ken Griffey rookie card, right? And so I wanted to kind of recreate that experience. So you get the box, you get in it, you know, like you would see if you're familiar with the trading card culture, it comes in a casing and whatnot. And on the back, you scan it. And so I worked with one of my old partners who's a blockchain developer. You scan this card and then you type in you give your name and your email, and then automatically you have a wallet. And that NFT loads into that wallet. The NFT also is linked to OpenSea, which is the biggest NFT market, and you can kind of track it there. So that's how that works. Now, when it comes to the slogans and everything, the brand is about authenticity, self-empowerment. So there were just certain messages that I wanted to get out there that are, you know, behind the brand. So, you know, we talked about disrupt the future. Technology is about disruption. And in your life, in your personal life, do something different, do something that you're passionate about, and that's the only way that you're going to get positive changes. That is like action, like it's laws of physics. The body at rest will stay at rest unless acted upon by an outside force. So that's what Disrupt the Future is about. Trust in you. I know people are familiar, you know, on a dollar bill it says trust in God, but my idea with this one is that if you don't trust yourself, who's going to trust you, right? Why should anyone believe in you? So it's about believing in yourself and doing what you can. So it's about self-empowerment. And then give and receive. So I've been really big lately into just manifesting and positivity. And one of the things that I came across was the idea that you don't want to be a taker. You know what I mean? You want to be like you say around Christmas time, or you know, give, and you know, you got a gift to get, or the gift is in giving. And what I found is that if you have something to give, you don't have to, like one of the philosophies is, if you have something to give, you don't ever have to worry about getting. And there's something simple like if you give, your hands are open so they're ready to receive. You know, so that's sort of the idea. And then also I just wanted to be, you know, I put the prayer hands in the money bag because I wanted to be kind of like tongue-in-cheek, but there's like a lot of things about like prosperity gospel. That like, so that was just kind of like my, you know, tongue-in-cheek on that symbolism. But yeah.
And then the brain, because that's
And the brain
what next year, right?
Yeah, and the brain is, you know, it's on the left side, left brain. I think I have a good balance, but I think growing up as a kid, I was, you know, my parents are immigrants, so like their whole thing was like become a doctor. And so it was like forced me to be, you know, focused heavily on science, which is, you know, your left brain. But I decided as I'm here, I'm not a doctor. So, yeah, so that's what it is. But it's all about just freeing your mind, using your mind, and you know, being in the moment, being engaged.
And then before we get to our metaverse wrapper, how does someone pick up one of these? What's the easiest way to get one?
The easiest way is get one here. Or you can go on the website, authorize.com, or you know, connect with me. I'm very approachable, Instagram. So there's, you know, if I hear, if I online, whatever works best.
It's an edition of 100, right?
Yeah, so there's 100. There's 100 hats. Right now we're down to the last 20 of the initial run. So there's more hats. You know, COVID and the supply chain is a real problem. So we're waiting to restock on hats, but this is the last 20 out of the first 100.
Perfect. And then